The ship was silent, not the kind of silence that speaks of peace, but the silence of fear. Hannah Kim stood at the center of the bridge, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic displays that surrounded her like a crystal cage. Each screen showed a different world. Worlds she had conquered, worlds she had broken, worlds that now belonged to her. Her uniform was simple, black, crisp, no medals, no decorations, just fabric that seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. The crew moved carefully around her, their movements precise and controlled. Nobody wanted to draw her attention. Not today. 15 years ago, Hannah had been nothing. A refugee. A child who watched her entire family disappear during the first alien invasion. Now she was the most feared human in the known galaxy. The Empress of Ashes, they called her. A name that made entire civilizations tremble. The holographic display to her left showed the planet Karak 9. Once a thriving world with 3 billion inhabitants, now a dusty graveyard. Blue-green continents were marked with red zones, areas completely sterilized during her military campaign. She remembered every detail of that conquest. The resistance had been strong, but not strong enough. A young communications officer cleared his throat. "Empress," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "we've received transmission reports from the outer colonies." Hannah didn't turn. She didn't need to. Her voice was calm, almost bored. "Speak." "The Meridian Confederation is requesting diplomatic communication. They wish to discuss terms off." "Surrender," Hannah finished for him. It wasn't a question. The officer nodded, his hand shaking slightly. He knew the stories. Everyone knew the stories. How Hannah Kim never accepted surrender. How she always demanded complete submission. Her first memory of war wasn't of battles or weapons. It was of silence. The silence after her colony was attacked. The silence of bodies. The silence of loss. That silence had shaped her into something both human and something more than human. On the main display, a three-dimensional model of the galaxy rotated slowly. Red markers indicated conquered territories. There were many. Blue markers showed remaining free zones. They were few, and getting fewer. "Send a standard response," she said. "Tell them they have 3 standard solar cycles to prepare for complete integration. Any resistance will be met with total elimination." The communications officer typed quickly, hands moving faster than his racing heart. Nobody argued with the Empress. Nobody had for years. Hannah walked to the large viewing window. Space stretched before her, and endless darkness filled with distant stars and the memories of civilizations she had crushed. Her reflection was ghostly against the black background. A young woman, early 30s, no visible scars, but everyone knew the scars were inside. Her tactical mind was always working, always planning. The Meridian Confederation was the last major independent power in this sector. Their surrender would complete her vision. A unified galaxy, under human control. Outside the window, a distant nebula glowed with soft purple and blue colors. It looked peaceful, beautiful. Nothing like the ruthless machine of conquest that was her empire. The bridge crew watched her carefully. Each knew their role. Each knew the cost of disappointing her. She had turned human military strategy into an art form. A deadly, precise art that left no room for error. 3 more star systems would fall today. By tomorrow, that number would double. The Empress of Ashes didn't smile. She didn't need to. Her work spoke for itself. It happened quietly. So quietly that at first, no one noticed. The ship's security systems were perfect. Layers of checks. Scanners that could detect a single misplaced molecule. No unauthorized being had ever entered the celestial hammer in its entire history. Not until today. Hannah was in her private quarters when the first report came. Chief of Security Joe Park looked confused, something that never happened before. His usual stern face was now a map of puzzlement. "Ma'am," he said through the communication link, "we have an unusual situation." Hannah didn't move. She kept looking at the star charts spread across her desk. Each chart told a story of conquest, of worlds reduced to obedience. "Explain," she said. "A dog," Jay said. The word hung in the air, strange and out of place. "A what?" "A dog. Somehow. On the ship. Our scanners can't explain how it got here. It just appeared." Hannah stood up. In all her years of military command, she had never heard something so ridiculous. Dogs didn't just appear on starships. Especially not on her starship, the most secure vessel in the human fleet. She walked to the bridge, her steps quick and sharp. The crew parted like water. They knew something was different. Something was wrong. And there it was. A small dog. Not big, not small, just average. Brown fur with white patches, sitting quietly in the middle of the bridge. It looked calm. Too calm. Its eyes didn't dart around like a normal animal. They were steady, watching. No one had touched it. No one had even approached it. Security scans showed nothing. No biological signature matched any known database. No tracking chip. No genetic markers. It was like the dog had simply materialized. How? Hannah asked. Not to anyone specific, just a question hanging in the cold, sterile air of the bridge. The dog tilted its head, just slightly, just enough to make everyone uncomfortable. J. Park ran another scan, then another. Each time, the results were the same. Nothing. The dog shouldn't exist, but it did. Hannah stepped closer. The dog didn't move. It didn't bark. It didn't show any fear. Most animals would be terrified on a warship full of humans. This one looked bored. "Remove it," she said to Ja. But no one moved. Something about the dog stopped them. Something in its eyes. They were intelligent. Too intelligent for an animal. They seemed to hold secrets. Memories. Stories. Hannah knew about survival. She knew about adaptation. She had rebuilt humanity from the ashes of alien invasion. She understood strategy better than anyone. And right now, this dog was a problem that didn't make sense. "Scan it again," she commanded. Jay's fingers flew over the holographic controls. Layers of security protocols activated. Genetic tests. Radiation checks. Quantum position trackers. Nothing explained the dog's presence. The dog yawned. A simple, ordinary yawn. Like it was sitting in a living room. Not on the most secure warship in the galaxy. "Where did you come from?" Hannah whispered. The dog looked directly at her. For a moment, just a moment, Hannah felt something. A connection. A feeling she hadn't experienced since before the wars. Before the invasions. Before she became the Empress of Ashes. Something was changing. And nobody on the bridge knew what would happen next. The dog stayed. Days passed. The celestial hammer continued its mission of galactic control. But something had changed. Everyone felt it, though no one could explain it. Hannah tried to ignore the dog. She had an empire to run, worlds to manage, rebellions to crush. But the dog made that difficult. It followed her, not in an obvious way, not like a pet. More like a shadow that wasn't quite a shadow. During strategy meetings, it would sit in the corner, silent, watching. The senior officers tried not to look at it, but their eyes always found their way back. On the third day, something strange happened. Lieutenant Kim Woo was preparing a report on the Meridian Confederation's outer colonies. His fingers moved quickly across the holographic display. Suddenly, he froze. The dog was sitting next to him. "How did you get here?" Wu whispered. The dog said nothing. Of course, it was a dog. But then Wu noticed something odd. A data chip had appeared on the floor, right next to the dog. A data chip that definitely hadn't been there moments before. Wu looked around. No one was watching. He picked up the chip. The information inside made his blood run cold. Encrypted files. Detailed plans, not of human military operations, but of something else, something bigger. An assassination attempt, planned for the next solar cycle, against Hana herself. Wu's hands shook. He looked at the dog. The dog looked back. Its eyes held something more than an animal's gaze. Intelligence. Purpose. But who would want to kill the Empress of Ashes? The resistance was almost finished. Human control spread across the galaxy like a web. Only small pockets of opposition remained. Scattered. Weak. Or so everyone thought. Hana noticed something was different when she entered the bridge that morning. The air felt charged. Lieutenant Wu looked nervous. The bridge crew seemed on edge. "Report," she commanded. Wu hesitated. The dog sat quietly by his console. Its presence felt like a weight in the room. "Ma'am," Wu finally said, "we've detected unusual communication patterns in the outer sectors." Hana's eyes narrowed. She knew every communication pattern in her empire. Nothing happened without her knowing. "Show me," she said. A holographic display came to life. Scattered signals, encrypted messages, tiny sparks of resistance that should have been impossible. The dog moved, just a little, just enough to catch Hana's attention. She looked down. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. A moment of understanding, of shared knowledge. The resistance was real, and it was growing. "Track these signals," Hana ordered. Her voice was calm. Too calm. But the dog knew something was coming. Something that would change everything. Outside the ship's massive windows, stars moved. Entire worlds passed by. Conquered. Controlled. But not for long. The first cracks were beginning to show. In the corner of the bridge, the dog sat, watching, waiting. The game was about to change. It happened in her private quarters, late at night, when the ship was quiet, when stars moved slowly outside her window. Hana sat alone, or so she thought. The dog was there, always there. But this time, something was different. A voice spoke, not out loud, not through speakers, inside her head. "You are not listening," the voice said. Hana didn't move, didn't breathe. Her mind raced. She had fought alien invasions, conquered worlds, survived impossible situations. But this was new. The dog sat quietly, its eyes locked on her. "Who are you?" Hana asked, not with her mouth, in her mind. A strange feeling filled the room, like electricity, like memory. "I am a messenger," the voice said. "And you are running out of time." Hana stood up. Her combat training kicked in. Her hand moved toward the alarm. But something stopped her. Something in the dog's eyes. Memories rushed back. Her childhood. The alien invasion. The day everything changed. "The resistance is not what you think," the voice continued. "What you see as enemies are actually survivors. Protectors." Images flooded Hana's mind. Worlds she had conquered. Civilizations she had destroyed. But now those images looked different. Broken pieces of a larger puzzle. The dog didn't move. It didn't need to. The communication was happening somewhere between thought and reality. "Explain," Hana demanded. A history unfolded, not in words, in feelings, in memories that weren't her own. The dog, no, the intelligence behind the dog, was old. Very old. Older than human civilization. Older than the wars. A collective consciousness that had watched civilizations rise and fall. And now it was watching her. "You think you protect humanity," the voice said. "But you destroy everything that makes humanity worth protecting." Hana's world tilted. Everything she knew. Everything she had built. Suddenly, it all seemed different. The resistance wasn't just fighting against her. They were trying to save something. Something bigger than one empire. Bigger than one species. "What do you want?" she asked. "To show you the truth," the voice replied. "More images, alien worlds, not as enemies, but as potential allies, civilizations with knowledge, with solutions to problems humans hadn't even discovered yet. The dog blinked. Once. Hannah felt something she hadn't felt in years. Doubt. Her entire life had been about control, about protecting humanity by destroying anything that seemed like a threat. But what if threats were just misunderstandings? "You have 3 days," the voice said. 3 days to make a choice. What choice? Hannah asked. But the presence was fading. The dog was just a dog again, sitting, watching. Outside her window, a distant nebula glowed. Soft, beautiful, indifferent to the conversation that had just happened. Hannah touched her head. Everything felt different. The ship, the stars, her own memories. Something was coming. Something that would change everything. And for the first time in years, the Empress of Ashes was afraid. The nightmares always started the same way. Fire, screaming, a world breaking apart. Hannah was 8 years old again. Her home colony of New Seoul burned around her. Alien ships filled the sky. Large, dark, like metal monsters eating the clouds. Her mother's hand was warm. Then it was gone. The medical team found her 3 days later, alone, covered in ash. The only survivor from a population of 500,000. Some called her lucky. She never believed that. In the quiet of her quarters, with the dog watching, the memories came back hard, like waves breaking against a rocky shore. She remembered how the aliens looked. Not like monsters from movies, just different. Tall, with skin like silver metal. They didn't laugh when they killed. They didn't show anger. They just removed what was in their way. Her father had been a diplomat. He tried to talk, to negotiate. They killed him first. The dog moved closer, not touching her, just present. Hannah's hands shook. She hadn't allowed herself to remember in years. Remembering meant weakness, and the Empress of Ashes was never weak. But now, something was different. The dog's eyes held something. Understanding. Knowledge. "Why are you showing me this?" she whispered. No voice answered. Just memories. Painful. Raw. She saw herself after the invasion. A child in military schools. Learning. Training. Promising herself she would never be weak again. Never let anyone hurt her people again. But somewhere along the way, she had become the thing she hated. Her conquest of alien worlds wasn't protection. It was revenge. Blind, endless revenge. The military had found her, saw her potential. A child who survived impossible odds. They trained her, shaped her, turned her pain into a weapon. By 16, she was the top student in strategic warfare. By 25, she had her first major military command. By 30, she was the Empress of Ashes. Each conquered world was another piece of her childhood trauma. Another alien civilization paying for what happened to New Seoul. The dog sat quietly. Its presence felt like a mirror, reflecting things she didn't want to see. Memories of training camps, of other children like her. Broken, rebuilt, turned into weapons. She had saved humanity, or so she told herself. But at what cost? Entire civilizations erased, cultures destroyed, worlds turned to dust. Her empire was built on the same logic that destroyed her home. Remove what you don't understand. Control everything. Outside her window, stars moved, silent, watching. The dog didn't judge, it just observed. Hannah's hand reached out, almost touched the dog, stopped. Everything she believed was built on pain, on fear, on a child's broken promise to never be weak again. But strength wasn't about destruction. The dog blinked. Once. A message. A question. Hannah didn't know anymore. For the first time in years, tears came. Quiet. Small. Like a child remembering something lost. The Empress of Ashes was breaking. And something new was about to begin. Alarms screamed. Red emergency lights flashed across the bridge of the Celestial Hammer. Something was wrong. Very wrong. A massive fleet had appeared. Impossible. No one could sneak up on Hannah's ship. No one. Lieutenant Wu's hands moved faster than thought. Scanning, checking, rechecking. Resistance ships, he said. The words felt strange in his mouth. Hannah stood still. The dog sat beside her. Calm. Too calm. The holographic display showed the impossible. Hundreds of ships. Different designs. Some human. Some alien. All working together. How? She whispered. The resistance shouldn't exist. She had crushed them. Destroyed them. Erased entire civilizations. But here they were. 3 minutes to contact. Wu announced. His voice shook. Hannah's mind raced. Strategies, weapons, escape routes, everything she had ever learned about survival. The dog looked up at her. Its eyes held something more than an animal's gaze. A message. A choice. The resistance fleet moved differently, not like military ships, more like a living thing. Connected, unified. Incoming transmission, a communication officer said. Hannah nodded. The holographic screen came to life. Not one face. Many faces. Humans. Aliens. Species she had conquered. Species she had destroyed. A woman spoke. Her face showed scars. Old wounds. We are the survivors, she said. And we are here to end this. Memories crash through Hannah's mind. Her childhood. The invasions. The years of conquest. Everything she had done. Everything she had believed. Falling apart. The dog moved. Just a little. Enough to catch her attention. Another message. Without words. Fight or listen. The resistance fleet surrounded the celestial hammer. Not attacking. Just present. Waiting. What do you want? Hannah asked. The scared woman smiled. Sad. Tired. To show you the truth, she said. Images filled the screen. Worlds Hannah had conquered. Not as battlegrounds, but as living places. Cultures. Families. Hopes. She saw them differently now. Not threats to be eliminated, but life to be understood. We know your pain, the woman continued. We have all lost, just like you. The dog sat quietly, watching, waiting. Hannah's hand touched the communication panel. Her fingers shook. One decision, two paths. Continue the war, or listen. The resistance fleet held position. No weapons charge, no threats made. Just a simple invitation. To understand. Lieutenant Wu looked nervous. The bridge crew waited. Everyone knew something big was happening. The dog blinked. Once. A message. A choice. Hannah took a deep breath. Everything she had built, everything she believed, about to change. The universe held its breath and waited. Silence filled the bridge. Hannah's hand hovered over the communication panel. One touch could start a war. Another could end everything she knew. The dog sat beside her, waiting. Open full communication, she said. Lieutenant Wu looked shocked, but he followed the order. The holographic screen expanded. Faces from different worlds filled the display. Humans, aliens, species that should have been enemies. The scared woman from the resistance spoke first. We are the unified collective. Hannah knew those words would change everything. Images began to flow, not of battles, but of connections, of worlds working together, of problems solved when different species shared knowledge. A blue-skinned alien showed advanced medical techniques. A human scientist shared energy solutions. And insectoid species demonstrated agricultural breakthroughs. This was not what Hannah expected. We have a problem, the scared woman said. A problem bigger than our past conflicts. Another image appeared. Something massive, dark, moving between star systems. We call it the Void, she explained. It consumes entire civilizations, erases them, not through war, through something worse. The dog moved closer to Hannah. Its eyes reflected the holographic display. The void looked like darkness, but not normal darkness. Something alive. Something hungry. How long? Hannah asked. 20 years, the resistance leader said. We've been preparing, gathering, learning. More images showed different species working together, building defenses, sharing technology, creating something new. Hannah saw her own empire differently now. She had been fighting the wrong battles. The dog nudged her hand. A small movement. A reminder. Why show me this? She asked. The scared woman smiled. Because you understand survival better than anyone. Because you know what it means to lose everything. Memories of New Seoul burned in Hannah's mind. The colony she lost. The family destroyed. The resistance wasn't asking her to surrender. They were asking her to join. Lieutenant Wu watched carefully. The bridge crew held their breath. One decision could change everything. The void continued to move in the background of the holographic display, eating star systems, erasing civilizations. No single species could fight it. But together, maybe. Hannah looked down at the dog. It looked back. No words, just understanding. Her entire life had been about protection, about preventing what happened to her colony from happening to others. But she had been doing it wrong. Control was not protection. Unity was. What do you need from me? She asked. The resistance leader's smile grew. Everything. The celestial hammer systems began to change. Weapons turning into communication arrays. War machines becoming research platforms. An empire of conquest becoming something else. Something new. Outside the ship's windows, stars moved, watching, waiting. The dog sat quietly. A new chapter was beginning, and nothing would be the same again. 1 month later, the celestial hammer was different now. No longer a weapon of war, now a bridge between worlds. Hannah stood in the new command center. No more cold metal walls, now filled with screens showing different species working together. The dog sat beside her, always present. Status report, she said. Lieutenant Wu brought up holographic displays. Each one showed a different part of their growing defense network. The unified collective was real now, not just an idea. A living, breathing alliance. Alien scientists worked alongside human researchers. Technology from 100 different worlds combined to understand the void. That dark, hungry thing moving between star systems. The Korak transmission arrays are online, Wu reported. We've integrated their quantum communication technology with our early warning systems. Hannah nodded. A month ago, the Korak were enemies. Now they were partners. The dog blinked, a silent reminder of how much had changed. Video feeds showed massive construction projects, space stations, defense platforms, not built by one species, but by many. A blue-skinned scientist from the water world of Mira spoke on one screen. Our deep space detection systems have tracked the void's movement. It's getting closer. Another screen showed a meeting. Humans, aliens, species that once tried to kill each other, now planning together. Hannah's empire was gone. Something else had taken its place. Detected anomaly in Sector 7, another officer called out. Screens shifted. The void moved. Not like a ship. Like something alive. Something that ate light and space and hope. Prepare communication relays, Hannah commanded. The dog stood up, walked to a specific screen, stopped. Everyone noticed. No one questioned. The dog had been more than a dog from the beginning. A messenger. A guide. We're ready, the resistance leader, Area, said through the communication link. Her scared face filled one of the screens. Ready for what? Hannah wondered. For defense? For survival? Or something bigger? The void continued to move, consuming star systems like a hungry ghost. No single species could stop it. But together, maybe. Lieutenant Wu brought up star charts. Red zones showed where the void had already passed. Nothing remained. No planets. No life. just empty space. It's not just destroying, Arya said. It's consuming. Something is taking everything. Not just matter, but something else. The dog looked at Hana, a message in its eyes. Not everything can be fought with weapons. Some battles are won differently. More screens came to life. Species Hana had once conquered now shared their deepest technologies, their most protected secrets. The insectoid race showed quantum communication techniques. A silicon-based life form shared energy manipulation skills. Humans brought adaptability, innovation. The void moved closer. But so did hope. Prepare the first collective defense line, Hana said. Her voice was different now. Not the voice of a conqueror. The voice of a protector. The dog sat down, watched. Something was coming, and they would face it together. Space burned. The void came, not like an enemy, like something alive, hungry, impossible to understand. Hana stood on the bridge of the celestial hammer, no longer a weapon of war, now a beacon of hope. The dog sat beside her, always beside her. Thousands of ships filled the darkness. Not one species, many species, humans, aliens, creatures that looked nothing like each other, but all connected. Incoming, Lieutenant Wu called out. The void moved, eating light, eating space, eating everything. No one knew what it was, where it came from, why it consumed. They just knew they had to stop it. Screens showed impossible things. Entire star systems disappearing, not destroyed, just gone, as if they had never existed. Quantum shields at maximum, an alien engineer reported. Hana watched, remembered her past, the worlds she had destroyed, the civilizations she had crushed. Now she understood. Protection wasn't about control. It was about connection. The first wave hit. Darkness tried to eat their defenses, but something was different this time. The ships moved like one body, one mind, sharing energy, sharing hope. The dog looked up at her. No words, just a feeling. Everything she had done, every battle, every conquest, led to this moment. Full collective defense, she commanded. Screens exploded with light. Technologies from 100 worlds combined, fighting something no one understood. The void pushed back. But so did they. Memories flashed. Her childhood colony, the invasion, the pain, now transformed into something else. Unity. We are not alone. Arya's voice came through communication links. The resistance leader, the one who had shown her another way. Ships from water worlds, silicon planets, insect colonies, human territories, all fighting together. The dog moved, just a little. A message. The void was more than a threat. It was a test. Could different species understand each other? Could they work together? This was the real battle. Not with weapons, but with hope. Quantum shields flickered. Energy systems pushed to their limits. But they held. Lieutenant Wu's hands moved across control panels. Alien technologies mixed with human innovation. The void tried to consume. They pushed back. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt different here. At the edge of everything. Fighting something impossible. The dog sat quietly, watching. A guide, a messenger, something more. We are connected, Hana whispered. The words meant everything. Suddenly, something changed. The void stopped. Not defeated, not destroyed, but understood. Screens went quiet. Ships held position. Something had happened. Something no one expected. The dog looked up at Hana. A final message. This was never about winning. It was about understanding. Outside, stars moved, watching, waiting. A new chapter was beginning, and nothing would ever be the same again.